Welcome back into the Enrichment Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Tennova Healthcare. We've told you many times about Tennova's orthopedic care. We've told you about their excellent ER services. But Tennova is more than that. Tennova offers childbirth education programs, health and fitness classes, senior services, support groups, and more. You can find out more about Tennova and all the things that they offer by going to Tennova.com. Tennova.com. All right, want to welcome in another member of our crew here, Brittany Nada, back for another year. Brittany, of course, a former All-American swimmer at UT. Brittany, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, John. Good to be here.
This segment, we call it the quiz show. You guys are going to get 3 different types of questions, and I will then, of course, tell you if you were right or wrong. All right? Brittany, I give it to you.
All right, David, you're up first. This one's a true or false question.
All right.
Last night's 141-yard performance by Rajon Neal will be his season-high rushing total.
I'm going to have to go with false on that. And here's my reasoning. You've got a guy that's splitting some time with Marlon Lane. You've got tougher competition down the road. If he's going to have an opportunity to break that, it's going to have to come against, in my mind, someone like South Alabama or Kentucky. But going forward, looking at Alabama's defense, you look at South Carolina and what they have to offer with splitting some time, I'm not sure if he's going to get that high.
Okay, then that would be true. Is that what it says? What was the question? Rajon Neal, that will be his season high. So you think that will be his season high?
Yes, true.
Then you are correct. I will give you a right sign. You're correct. Thumbs up.
I was playing both sides of it.
That was yeah, you were going to get it either way. All right.
You couldn't get me wrong.
Yeah, Brittany.
All right, Bob, fill in the blank question for you. Seeing Tennessee run a no-huddle spread offense was blank.
Was intriguing.
And why?
I just
You
don't
don't get
right
the-
or wrong on intriguing.
No,
I mean, no, it was different. I was kind of anxious to see how they would be able to pull it off with guys who have been in different systems for so long that they were able to come out there and be able to run it and look and go back to the word you used in the very first segment, efficient. So I'm going to go with intriguing. That's really not a right or wrong answer, so you can't do anything.
No, I could, but I'm going to say you're right. I think it was intriguing. I thought it was kind of, to use a childish word, how about neat? It was neat to see Tennessee do something you haven't seen before. Cool. I've made a couple of it was cool. I thought it was impressive to see them do something different. I've made the comparison a few times on the show before that Butch Jones, new guy, changing a few of the traditions, coming in after some down years. I've compared him to Doug Dickey a little. Doug Dickey brought a T formation for the first time ever to Tennessee. This is the first time Tennessee's gone with this no-huddle spread. I think that's fun to see. I'm not a big fan of that offense. Everybody's doing it, but it was neat to see Tennessee do it. It was just something different.
It's more fun when it works.
Yes, yeah. We'll see how neat it looks when they're going up against
Trust
Alabama.
me, when that offense doesn't work, it's ugly.
All right, Brittany.
Jimmy, over/under question for you. In beating Kentucky 35-26 last night, Western Kentucky racked up 487 yards. Now, will Bobby Petrino's offense go over or under 400 yards against Tennessee next week?
I had an interesting discussion with a guy that works at ESPN that told me he thought Kentucky's front 7 was better than Tennessee's. I didn't really agree with that, but if that's true and Kentucky gave up 487 yards, I think Western Kentucky will top 400. The Hilltoppers will top 400. One thing that Bobby Petrino is great at getting matchups in his favor. Tennessee's secondary is still unproven. You couldn't tell anything from that. They got a freshman starter. Their backups at those positions are a freshman and 3 walk-ons. I think Western Kentucky will get over 400 yards.
I hate to do it, but everybody was right today. Look at that. It'll cover my face. Everybody was right. You'll have to wait till next week to see the wrong sign, I guess. But I want to talk more about the Western Kentucky thing. I do think that all summer there's been this belief that, Tennessee will get those first 2 games and win those. And on this show, at least, we've tried to point out, don't sleep on Western Kentucky, especially with Bobby Petrino coming in there and his track record of first year. I mean, this is a guy that made Casey Dick look like a pretty good passer at Arkansas. So I think there is a concern there with Western Kentucky. How many of you guys got a chance to look at any of that game last night?
I watched most of the game last night.
I watched it.
Okay, yeah. I was rather impressed. You see a Bobby Petrino offense, you normally think passing. The run game looked pretty good for the Hilltoppers last night.
I mean, they have good talent on that team. I mean, it's not just Bobby Petrino's scheme out there. I mean, they have guys that could play at a lot of different schools, whether in the SEC or Big Ten or ACC. I would probably, if the question was mine, I would probably say under. I've seen a lot of Kentucky. I've seen a lot of Kentucky defense. they're terrible. So I would rate Tennessee's front seven as better
And
than
this is
Kentucky.
a completely different Western Kentucky team than one we saw in 2009 when Tennessee
Oh,
beat
yeah.
them 63-7.
But for a lot of people,
It's-
that's their point of reference. They don't know what they did last year. A lot of people don't even understand that Bobby Petrino's in there changing them.
Well, and I think that also, not only you have Petrino, but that says a lot about Willie Taggart, the last guy who moved up. He's at South Florida now because of the job he did. He's the guy that took Western Kentucky from that 63-7 beating to Lane Kiffin's Vols to a bowl game last year and knocking off Kentucky 2 years in a row. We'll discuss that more. Brittany will be back later. David will be back later. Jimmy and Bob will be back later. When we come back, Mike Strange, Chuck Cavallera, Shazon Bradley, Sterling Hinton. We got a lot to come. We're going to talk about the positives and the negatives from yesterday's game. Come back on the Enrichment Sports Source.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television.